not supposed to work like this, at least not in the fishing world. Things like youth beating experience, that only happens in contact sports, never in sports like fishing. But qualifying action on the Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail event on Lake Okeechobee saw youth edge its way to the top. The seasoned veterans of the sport like Denny Brower and Roland Martin, who made his name on this legendary lake, felt the heat from the likes of Kelly Jordan and Stephen Browning. The biggest surprise could have been Mark Sabides, fishing in only his 8th event as a professional angler, jumping to a huge start on the first day of qualifying with a 26-pound, 8-ounce limit. Lake Okeechobee is one of the most storied lakes in the history of professional bass fishing. 175 anglers from 32 states made the trek to South Florida. Every one of them resolved to leave their mark on the Big O.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is presented by Bush.
Hi, and welcome to the Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail. I'm Tommy Sanders, along with Jerry McInnes. And Jerry, the guys on Lake Okeechobee this week, and they look forward to that all year long.
Well, Okeechobee in January generally relates to warm weather and big fish.
Well, we'll find out very shortly if that's going to be the case today. The Big O down there in South Florida, for years, the mecca for people from up north in the wintertime to come down and catch big bass. Of course, it's big. It can be intimidating, but also very, very rewarding. The big man on the Pro Tour right now as we come into this tournament, Skeet Reese, based on his win at the Harris Chain last week. He leads in the Bush Angler of the Year points, but another race that may come into play today, Jerry, the Citgo Rookie Angler of the Year. We'll explain why that is a little bit later.
Well, Big O is 1,000 years old. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. You're smart.
Oh, man, I got one on you there. In the last several years, though, boy, it has been dry in Florida. And the lake is very low, and then, bam, since the last time we were there, Tommy, it comes up 26 inches. So we're on virtually a new lake, and during our qualifying days, we had some great catches, and I want you to look at where some of the notables ended up during those qualifying days. But I will say that Mark Sabides had the big one so far anyway, 8-11. Stacy King caught one about ½ ounce under 8 pounds, and Roger BOLER had the big fish yesterday, and we're going to see him a little bit later on. But you know what? For the past several weeks, all we've talked about is grass. Grass, 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 grass. No different today, Tommy. Yeah. Okeechobee and grass. That's going to be the story.
Grass is the big story. We got a big special guest today as well, right?
We're going to figure out what a Lulu flip is.
Good. I've been waiting my whole life to find out what a Lulu flip is. That's coming up a little bit later. Right now, let's get into our Super Six, the 6 finalists who will fish today. Mark Sabides, who had the big catch on the first day, 25 pounds plus. Mark Tyler, who still holds the record for the largest bass ever caught in a Bassmaster Tournament event. Roger BOLER, another angler like Sabides from Louisiana. Chad Morgenthaler, who's already qualified for the Bassmasters Classic, but he is a rookie on the Pro Tour as we speak right now. Bernie Schultz, on the other hand, a veteran with more tournament experience probably than the rest of these 5 anglers combined, and the man leading the way, 49-7 over the first 3 days of the tournament. Terry Scroggins of Palatka, Florida, the winner of the Eastern Open last year on the St. Johns River. And as we get the fishing underway today, take a look at that weather report. It's supposed to be up in the 60s, but that is later on today. Look at our starting temperature, almost freezing. That's got to affect the fishing. When we come back, we'll see which strategy pays off. Make the long run, fish close to home. Don't go away.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Citgo, by Bush, and by Skeeter.
Our anglers are underway now on Lake Okeechobee. Rather chilly this morning, so today the lake is big, it is imposing, and it is cold. Earlier this morning, Kirsten Gum back at the ramp told us just how big this water is.
Its name actually means big water. And when they named this thing, they were dead on. This place is huge. It's also a very unique lake. I think the best way for me to describe it to you as well, it's kind of like this upside-down frisbee. Very shallow, only averages about 10 feet in depth, but covers a very large area, 730 square miles. Now, if that doesn't sound big to you, check this out. Inside this lake, you can fit 500,000 football fields.
Well, all this water means a lot of decisions for these anglers. For instance, how far do I want to travel? How far can I stand to travel? And, of course, the weather is playing in everyone's mind, especially the water temperature.
It got all the way up to 63 during the first day, and it's down to about 55 now. It might be colder. I hadn't even checked it this morning. It should be somewhere around 52 or 53.
Well, that's our leader coming into today, Terry Scroggins. His plan is to fish close, to catch some small fish quickly. 5 of them, get the pressure to get a limit off his back.
I was hoping to come up here and get 5 right quick. I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
Boy, Terry's got a good lead, and with the cold weather on us, it's going to slow things down a lot. He figures, I'm going to catch 5 fish. I'll have 5 pounds, and I'll be hard to beat. I tell you what, though, these are little guys he's catching.
Same size, man.
Well, all 5 of Terry's competitors are busy running, trying to get to their fishing spots, and he's busy himself, but busy trying to get those 5 fish, get that limit in the boat.
He's not doing anything fancy. He's throwing a little Carolina rig, small finesse worm. He's literally getting a bite every time he throws over there in his spot. You know, I like his plan. Of course, his competitors can catch up with one 5 or 6 pounder.
Number 4.
And remember, Terry only had a 2-pound lead over Bernie Schultz when they left the Okeechobee ramp. That was just moments ago, and right now he's pretty much playing out a defensive strategy. He's trying to hang on to that ball as hard as he can.
You might be right, but he's not using very much time. And by defensive, you mean get some easy fish. He does go after an easy limit here, and he wants that out of the way. And mentally, that's fantastic for him. That's a good plan if you've got some good fish to go to after this.
Well, we're going to get the big sticks out the rest of the day. See what happens.
That is what you call taking care of business. Terry Scroggins is one of the fastest 5 fish limits we've ever seen here on the show. And you heard him. He's going to pick up the big stick, go flipping, try to catch some bigger fish. And I think we've caught ourselves a big fish here. Our special guest, Gerald Swindle, who was such a great job last week at the Harris Chain, and year in and year out, one of the big fish in the world of bass fishing.
Thanks a lot. Man, I tell you what, Gerald was in the top 6 last week. We are in the top 6 here this week.
Yeah.
How tough is it to get in the top 6?
It is probably tougher to get there than it is to win the event once you get in there. It's very tough.
Do you feel that when you get in it? Is there a, whew, I'm in it now?
Most of the battle is over once you get down to 6 guys.
Well, one guy who's way ahead of the game is Terry Scroggins, and we're going to take a look at his start, which is probably 5 miles up the Kissimmee River, 5 miles away from the takeoff. That's upstream. He's fishing this little cove right here, but and that doesn't look like much, but Gerald, when we suck the water out of that, turn it around just a little bit, we're going to find that he is maneuvering his boat with his trolling motor now. He's not anchoring, and he's staying out here in 12, 14, 15 feet of water. From that point, he's throwing a Carolina rig up on this point. You'll see the point in his shot from time to time, and also throwing in this pocket and dragging that rig down the bank there. And boy, it worked out okay, didn't it?
You said boat position. This guy probably had it figured out not to, how to get that bait to come down natural, and those fish had a great place to hide outside the current, and he had it dialed in pretty good. I wish I would have known that place. I would have been right there with him.
I tell you what, I want to take a look at all of our final 6 tracks, and man, this is such a giant lake. I want you to look at this number right here and this number right there. Boy, that is an ocean, isn't it? Gerald, my question to you is, we got Sabinas and Bernie Schultz and Scroggins all fishing within maybe 20 minutes of the takeoff area. Then we got Morgenthaler and BOLER, who are all the way down by Creamer Island. They go past Rita Island. And man, they are an hour and a half away on a good day. Then we got Mark Tyler, who's not very close to home. He's an hour and 15 minutes away around Observation Island. So is it a good idea to make this run? Man, I already saw a guy catch a limit right there at the dock.
I know it. And, these guys are gambling on the weather. If I had to base my decision on Okeechobee to run north and run south to make the run, it's strictly to do with the weather. And if they get calm weather, they can make it down and back. You surely wouldn't want to do it in rough conditions and high winds like we've had. But these guys got great equipment. They can get there and back. And you don't need all day to catch a big sack if you're on them.
And, of course, Mark here is in Indian Prairie area, and that, as I said, is a half hour away from takeoff. And what do you do, though, if you're faced with knowing there's a there's some big fish way down an hour and a half away.
Well, you have to stick with your confidence, and I think that's what Mark's doing here. That's so great. He knows he's caught one of the largest catches of the tournament right there where he's at. He's going to hammer his own water and hope that it can keep producing, which it looks like it is right there.
He's got him a start, doesn't he?
Yes, and I mean, that's a good fish, and it's a good way to get the morning going.
Not a giant, but a keeper anyhow. You can see I had to let him take it a while so I could get a good, look at that hook set. Look at that. That's the way an X-point hook gets them. Look down there. I mean, that's awesome. That's why you want a big hook in case you get a 10-pounder. You can get a hook like that.
Well, like Mark Sabitas, there are other Louisiana angler. Roger BOLER started off the tournament with a big day. He's kind of slipping ever since then, but all in all, happy to be here.
I'm new at this. Last year was my first year on the tour, and I finished in about 100 places. I learned a ton of stuff. I feel real comfortable here, being from down Louisiana. Fishing the Delta a lot, it reminds me a lot of it. I'm in a little bit of my comfort zone when I'm around a lot of grass. We need to find a household of 5. There's one. That's a good one, too. Whoa, that's a toad. All right, easy does it, baby. Out the grass, out the grass, out the grass. We rod high. Come on, baby. There you go. Easy does it. Oh, yeah. Come on, we just want to take you for a ride, get a little picture, see how much you weigh. Easy does it, baby. Come here, girl. Come on. Come on now. Easy does it. Easy does it. Yes. All right. Woo. Yes. That's what it's all about, guys. All right. Whew. Let's see. Now it's time to hunker down. That's what we're talking about. Just guessing. I'm not real good at guessing, though. I guess the big one I had yesterday was 4, and it was 5.13.
I had no excuses. Sun shining. The maps are here. I got the best bait.
Back at our Citgo Bassmaster Tour event on Lake Okeechobee, and the man who was on our leader, Terry Scroggins trail, is this man here, Bernie Schultz. Could be ready for a breakout season. He's a guy who's long overdue for a win, and his catch on day number 2, that might just be the wake-up call.
Look out! He's going to be my first man in after 2 days of competition. Schultz, huge weight, 21 pounds and 7 ounces. 21.7.
Feels good.
I bet. Reach in there and show me a couple of these big bass. Good gosh, get the cameras lined up, boys. Come close. Look at this. Bernie Schultz has just blown his way into the lead with a total weight of 2 days. I think it's going to put him at 37 pounds and some change. Mama! Oh, the Florida man strikes again.
Well, something just knocked that dog out of those reeds right there. I get this cast in, maybe I can get him to bite.
When we talk about some of our anglers making the long runs today, not the case with Bernie Schultz. He's actually very close to home.
Our old buddy Bernie is right over in Grassy Island. He's doing something completely different than everybody else. He's throwing a Rapala. No one has been throwing any kind of a topwater bait.
There's one under the bait. There's one under the bait right now.
Got him. Oh, boy, Bernie. You know, I said he was fishing Rapala, and he is, but he's also putting a small belly weight on it, and he's trying to make it sink just a little bit, not a whole lot. He even wants it to suspend in the water. Rapala, of course, can be a great topwater bait, but early in the morning like this, these bass aren't in a mood for a topwater bait, so you want it to sink just a little bit. And you know what? When I say that somebody needs a win, that would probably take in every angler out there. So maybe it's more appropriate that I say that Bernie is overdue. And, boy, he's in good shape today.
Well, there it is, Bernie Schultz and his first fish of the day. Let's go now, though, and visit with Mark Sabitas. And, Mark, I know you've been on cloud 9 all week. Are you ready to tell us a little bit about it?
Ready? Yeah, I'm so glad you called. I'm ready to catch a fish.
All right, well, tell us about that great first day.
Well, it happened right here, right where we're sitting now. Wednesday afternoon in practice, I came in here, had a couple of bites. I shook them off. I didn't know, how big they were or if I had this kind of potential. But I came in here first morning and caught me a little one, 12-incher, and that's pretty much what I thought was in here. Then the next fish was one of those giants. Then the next one was another giant. And I was saying to my partner, my goodness, maybe I can get 5 this size.
All right, but that was then. For now, you're finding the going is a little bit tough. I want you to tell us something, though, about your technique and about your lure.
It's not that special. I know some of the other guys are flipping. I'm using 2 different crawl worms. I'm using a Peter Allen crawl and with a 1-ounce bullet weight, and I'm using a wave crawl, one of the bigger crawls. I've been using that a little bit later in the afternoon when the water's been warming up. But the first day of the tournament, my partner caught 2 nice ones on that wave worm that they were giving out in the tournament. So I got myself a hold of some, and I've been catching some fish on it. Also, the second day of the tournament, when it was windy and cloudy, I caught some on a Strike Zone clear-bladed spinnerbait. I caught 2 good ones, a 3-pounder and a 4-pounder. So it hasn't all been flipping, but the majority of it has. I've been using a 1-ounce weight. But for me, I think the key is there's some dead hyacinths that they sprayed about a month ago. You see right now it's a big patch of green ones, and there's fish under them all. And right here on this side of the boat, there's a bunch of dead ones that have been decaying and been sinking. And I think in this cold water, the fish have got more cover under the dead ones, and I don't know, maybe some of the decay is putting off a little bit of heat. Couple tenth of a degree or something, and the fish have been under that, because all my big fish have come under the dead hyacinths that they sprayed about a month ago.
All right, thank you so much, Mark, for your time. And guys, Gerald, Jerry, I guess once you talk to a fisherman that's been down there in Florida fishing for 3 weeks this time of year, you're not going to hear about anything but grass, right?
Grass, 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 Gerald. Take off.
Well, I'm telling you guys, it grows literally from my motel room to the lake. You have grass, and you have different types of grass, and sorting it out is the hardest battle of fishing Okeechobee, is figuring out the productive type of grass in cold front conditions.
Can you actually fish some grass for 5 days and not catch anything and be in the wrong type of grass?
I did. Watch the tape. Oh, yeah, you can, and that's the hard part about it. It's, the type of grass these guys are fishing fit the conditions that we were in. A lot of us couldn't put it together. You couldn't figure out that the hydrilla was the warmest. The fish stayed around those areas in the morning, so flip the mats around the hydrilla as the sun come up. The hydrilla is a bright green grass, grows off the bottom. It gets pretty thick in clumps and areas. The fish will spawn around it, but not actually in it, but it holds a lot of heat. So when it got cold at night, it went right there. The mats around them, these big, thick pads like you see Mark Savita's fishing. Man, it was gnarly looking when he caught those bass.
And you know what? 1 degree difference in the water temperature, and these fish will move right to it.
That's exactly right.
Especially in Florida.
It's the color of the surface. Where they sprayed the hydrilla, sprayed the hyacinths. Water hyacinths actually float on top of the water. Once they sprayed them, they turn brown. So if you put a thermometer in there when the sun come up, that brown actually heated up more than the green. So the fish were actually more in the dead hyacinths than they were the live hyacinths, which is right backwards to what you've ever been taught.
Well, tell us what a mat is. A mat can be as big as your house, I guess, and it does not connect to the bottom.
Well, a lot of the grass gets chopped up from different boats out there, crappie fishermen, bass fishermen, so you'll have a lot of eelgrass and canes and reeds actually chopped up from the boat propeller, or maybe fishing around or blown loose from the wind, and it'll actually just compact till it gets literally so thick these guys are pitching 1.5 ounces lead. And under this mat is a clean canopy of water, Jerry. There's absolutely no grass. The fish has a full range of view. Sand, that was the key.
Yeah.
That was the key that I did not know at the time. I really wish I had done this show before we went down there. Sand on the bottom was bedding areas, which were, the fish were really on a hard spawning right before we got there. Then once the cold front hit, they just went right to areas around where they were spawning, and the sand is where they spawn, and those guys had it figured out. The local guys really took a hurting on us.
Well, I tell you what, one guy who's not a local is Mark Tyler, one of the hot shots from the West Coast. Mark has 1 fish already today. He's up to 43 pounds.
I'm not too worried about it, to be honest with you. You're 7, 8 pounds down. I made the cut. I fished a real good tournament. Haven't lost any fish. So if you don't win, you can only weigh what bites. So it's really not in my control. I'm just going to fish as smart and as hard as I can. And, God willing, we'll get some good bites and we can make it happen.
There it is.
How about that for making it happen?
Oh,
Mark
it's lit on
Tyler joining up with Skeet Reese, Mike O'Shea, Ish Monroe, Mark Kyle, the West Coast anglers with a great start down here in Florida in the new year.
He's a keeper. Man. Right in that pocket. That little sucker dunked it and got my adrenaline going.
Post front, 30s, very little wind. It's 8:25, time to catch fish. It just doesn't feel right here. I haven't even fished this. I just thought maybe some of the bigger fish might have gone up under the mat.
Back over to our leader now, Terry Scroggins. Now, we saw him earlier today, fished real close to the ramp there, almost within sight of the ramp, up there in the river mouth, catching that limit of 5 fish. Then he goes over to the east side of the lake. That's where we find him right now, near the lock on Henry's Creek. And, man, Jerry, he is back in the middle of the stuff.
Well, one of the most overlooked things about a good bass fisherman is how well he feels. I mean, look how far that fish is away from him. He pitched his little jig 35 feet from his boat and dropped it down in that stuff and actually felt that fish bop that jig.
Man, I don't know if he's going to come out of there or not.
What you have to keep in mind now is that Terry Scroggins has already caught himself that limit early. Small fish, and he's looking, I can guarantee you, to replace, to cull each and every one of them with a bigger fish like this one. Keep it right here. When we come back, Gerald Swindle's going to jump in, help us catch up with Chad Morgenthaler and take another look at our leader, Terry Scroggins. Welcome back to Citgo Bassmaster Tour, our big event down on Lake Okeechobee. Our Super 6 are out there fishing on championship day. As you look at the scoreboard, you see that our leader coming into today, Terry Scroggins, doing what he's supposed to do, hanging on to that lead there. And another one of our Super 6 cast members from last week at the Harris Chain. Gerald Swindle, we're glad to have you here. Let's get out to the lake and take a look first at Chad Morgenthaler. I know that's the Pelican Bay area. Does it look familiar to you?
Yeah, it really does. I think he's inside the island, what they call Kramer Island, where the clear water remains from the big north winds we had. So he's really got a good spot working, and there's a lot of fish in this area.
Chad's going to show us right now exactly what he's fishing with.
5-inch wave worm tiki stick. It's kind of really a do-nothing bait. It's real salt impregnated. And whenever I rig it, I usually rig it weightless. Not that you can't use a weight on it, but my key has been to kind of thread it onto the hook. I use a 4/0 hook in it mostly, and thread it down a little bit. Hook it back and just hook it weedless, and that's about all there is to it. And whenever you do that, it'll fall straight most of the time. It's just a real subtle presentation bait.
And he calls it a do-nothing lure, but you got to know the right kind of nothing to do with it, right?
Exactly. I think you're going to see something come across today as a pattern to all the anglers. You're going to see them fish slow, and that's what this rig is designed to do, is actually cast it on top of the grass and let it fall. It absolutely has no action, just falls on the grass real slow, real methodical, and that's what seems to be working.
Is that where he's getting his hits, on the fall?
Exactly. He's letting the bait settle all the way to the bottom and actually letting it sit still, and the fish are picking it up because it's extremely cold in Florida.
You don't even rattle it, just at least a little bit, huh?
And that's my problem with it. I tend to work it. The more you work it, it seems to be the worse you do.
Yes. Number one. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, baby.
I got some trails cut in here where I've been coming through here for the past week. I hope there's 5 more fish left in here.
Terry Scroggins, our leader, doing what you're supposed to do, hanging on to that lead right there and taking the short trip, not making the long run to Pelican Bay and other places like that. What do you think of that philosophy?
Well, I think Terry's did a couple of things smart. He's had a limit place every morning. We could go catch his limit, take the pressure off of him, because when he comes out and starts this type of fishing we're seeing here, this is slow fishing.
He doesn't even need a rod, obviously.
He does it with half a pole. That's how good he was this week.
That's
I mean,
good.
really beat us down. But you'll see the heavy canes and the mats, and you'll see hydrilla, the blown-in eelgrass, and the hyacinths, and this guy's just slowly picking it apart a little bit at a time.
And obviously the very heavy-duty equipment out there, that braided line, it really doesn't matter if he's got a rod.
It really doesn't. You're going to see a lot of 50 and 100-pound tests these guys are using, and it's awful on your equipment sometimes. You can break a lot of poles.
100-pound test line.
That's exactly right. Well, you're trying to pull them over all these, you know, you look at it, look how gnarly it looks, and when you try to drag a fish across that, it takes some heavy equipment.
I've never seen that.
That wasn't a good deal there.
Does that happen very often?
No, that's this old rod that I've had forever, and I don't know. I don't even know why I was using it.
Work.
It worked for a while. It won't work no more.
Well, now let's go over to Roger Bowler, another guy who's having a little trouble getting it going today, but all week long he's had great success fishing as slow as you possibly can on this lake.
I'm telling you, that's the key when you go to Okeechobee in the wintertime and you have a cold front is slow, slow, slow. And when you think you're fishing slow, you got to slow down even more.
Our coverage, of course, is based on showing people catching fish, but what is it like out there when it's 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and you haven't even had a bite yet?
I've never been to prison, but it's got to be close to that same feeling because it feels like there's no way out and you couldn't catch one if your life depended on it. And these guys have really got, it's a rhythm. And once you get in that rhythm and slow down and you get your confidence to fish slower and slower, the better angler you are.
All right. It wasn't 4.5 pounder like you wanted, but I'll take it, I promise you.
There it is. Oh, yeah.
Mark Tyler, what does the bite feel like when you actually do get one on in this sort of condition here?
You know, generally the bite is real aggressive and you can feel it well, but during the cold front, it gets very light, light, light. And you'll hear the braid actually ripping through his eyes right there. He's fishing heavy line trying to get him across that. The bite's very subtle, so you have to pay attention. You have to be quick with good reflexes. And he shook up too.
He is a little bit.
If I'd have caught one like that, I'd have been a little shook up too.
Mark Tyler had to be shaken up when he caught that all-time largest bass, 14 pounds plus, on the Bassmaster Tour some years ago.
Well, and I think you see these guys are wonderful grass fishermen. They really analyze it and understand what they're doing, and they make it look so easy.
Oh, man. I was hoping that was a giant for a minute.
Well, there you go. Mark Tyler scores. So the do-nothing style, that's the way to do it. And you were doing the wrong kind of nothing.
Yeah, I was doing nothing.
Okay. How about that lure?
I'm writing this down. Being in prison is like not catching any fish.
Yeah, yeah.
Without any parole.
I have to remember. No parole. Hey, Scroggins is the only guy that is not throwing this worm, either a Tiki Worm or a Cinco. It looks like a little bitty skinny cigar, and it's heavier than your normal plastic worm. You can really throw it a long way. Now here's the secret. Don't pull it with your reel. Don't pull it at all. Take your rod tip and just twitch it and just jerk it back and forth. And when you drop it for just seconds, it'll fall back. Watch it fall back here. That's when it's the most effective. Now, Bernie SCHULTZ has been throwing a Cinco a little bit this morning. He's throwing a spinnerbait a lot as well. Right now, he's throwing a Rapala minnow.
We got him. It's a good one, too, boy. Come on, baby.
Well, as Bernie hooks up here, it occurs to me, Jerry, that maybe we haven't paid enough attention to this race we got going on, thinking about the big lead that Terry Scroggins came in and protected with that early limit.
Boy, you're probably right. You know, we're on water that produces 6 and 8 pound bass regularly, and any one of our 5 contenders catch one of those, and they catch Scroggins. This fish right here for Bernie, if he lands it, that's going to make a big difference for him.
Yes. Rapala, cold front. Best cold front topwater bait made. Yes, sir. You didn't want it at first. You have to tease them. You get in a hurry with it, they're not going to bite it. Whew. That's a nice start there. It's just slow. It's slow as snails, and the fish are in here. I mean, this is a bedding area, and the fish are here. Some of them are pre-spawn, some of them are post-spawn, some of them are sitting on beds. And I'm just trying to target the females and the bigger fish, and trying to throw baits that'll, you know, I mean, this bait will obviously catch small fish too, but sometimes the females just, you know, take a little bit different technique to get them to go on a cold front. I got weights on the belly of it. Those are suspend dots. That's just a 13 G Rapala.
Well, Bernie SCHULTZ certainly made a positive move with that last fish. The veteran staying in touch with our leader, the rookie you see right here, Terry Scroggins. And with one more big fish, just as Jerry McInnes was mentioning, Bernie could overtake him. We're going to talk to Bernie when we come back. Also know you're enjoying visiting with Gerald Swindle. He'll be back as well, so don't go anywhere.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Progressive, by Mercury, and by Diamond Cut Jeans.
Back to our Citgo Bassmaster Tour event, and what a place. Lake Okeechobee, smack dab in the middle of South Florida, and everything that means in terms of native wildlife. Now, through the years, the area has really changed. The area around the lake has become, well, agricultural mostly, but here in the lake, you still very much get an Everglades feel. All the wildlife is on display, especially the alligators. There are plenty of them to go around. Probably very fascinating and maybe a little bit intimidating to a rookie angler just visiting this place. But hey, the rookies have prospered this week. How about Terry Scroggins, our leader, and the tour rookie from Illinois who's already qualified for the Bassmasters Classic, Chad Morgenthaler.
#1, thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm very new to the tour. This is my second event. I was fortunate enough to qualify for the Bassmaster Classic this fall, and it also qualified me for the Top 150 Tour as well. Whether the big fish bite or not is questionable. It's fishing. You just go fishing and you have a good time with it. Even on the worst day, you still got to remember you're still fishing for a living.
Well, it's been great having Chad with us in these finals, and though he hasn't set the world on fire today so far, he is sticking to his guns, his plan of throwing that Tiki Worm, and he's in about 3 or 4 feet of water right now.
Yes! Woo! Oh, baby. All right, I know he's not very big, but he sure is worth his weight in gold today for me. Woo! Wow, wow, wow. Oh, what a deal.
Well, I know Chad has had a bit of a disappointing day, but that little guy right there will help out some. I'd like to talk now to one of the real class acts when it comes to professional bass fishermen, Bernie SCHULTZ. And Bernie, right off the bat, how about telling us about the wind out on the big lake?
Yeah, the wind just started kicking up a little bit. It's been very calm this morning, and I kind of adjusted. You know, the last couple of days I've been catching them on a spinnerbait pretty good, but because it was so calm, I went to a Rapala, a 13 G Rapala, and caught a couple of fish, had another one come after it, but didn't really want it. And then the wind kicked up and it kind of killed that whole program, so I'm on a spinnerbait again.
Well, you hear a lot of guys talking about the weather. Everyone talks about the weather, but you know, you fishermen, man, it is what it is. You just have to make the best of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the best I can with it. You know, I don't mind wind and I don't mind cold wind as long as I'm around some fish that are halfway responsive, but you know, it's definitely about adjustments. That's what I've been trying to do the last 2 days, is just figure out the fish. I got plenty of fish here. It's just figuring out what they want.
Well, Bernie, I don't know whether this is a good thing to bring up or not, but you're one of the real superstars out there who has not won an event yet. Does this play on your mind?
It does. My kids would agree with that, I can tell you that. It does play on your mind. I mean, it's working me pretty hard the last few years. I've been in position to win, and it's slipped through my fingers so many times, Jerry. I'd like to close the deal this time and just get it behind me.
Well, last week, Skeet Reese comes from behind to win. Maybe this is your turn.
Well, I like that, Jerry. I'm going to work hard, and you know, it's gonna fall where it does. I'm going to do the best I can and not worry too much about it. I'm trying to have fun.
Well, let's go from Grassy Island all the way to the other end of the lake and a look at Roger BOLER.
Oh, boy. Look out. This is him. This is him. Holy mackerel. What a fish. Easy fish. Get out of there. Get out of there. Easy does it, baby. Come on now. Get out here in open water. There you go. Take it easy. Take it easy. There you go. Come on in here, biggin. Come on, baby. Oh, this is pretty, huh? Let me come back here. Easy does it, baby. Easy does it. Easy does it. Easy does it. Yes! Woo! Woo! Yes, sir. Man, this is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Man, can you believe that?
Yes, sir. Nice bass for Roger BOLER there. Puts him in a solid second position. And furthermore, if he catches 2 more good ones, one really good one, he's right up there with the leader.
Betcha.
It's that tight, just like last week at the Harris chain. You had the fish on, Gerald Swindle. It could have put you in that same position. And here's what happened.
There's one right there in the big. That's a good one. Come off, God. Come on. Damn.
I bet you'd love to relive that moment just as many times as you possibly can.
Yeah, I think that's funny, right?
Oh, yeah.
I tell you
exactly.
what, that's one of the hardest things in the sport, and being, you know, they say it's wondering, you know, how do you deal with it? Do you get beat down? Do you beat yourself up? Sometimes it's just more than you can take, mentally and physically.
Especially when it's hard to get a strike.
Exactly
and you
right.
Get one.
And you work, you know, you're doing everything you can. You work yourself just down to nothing, and you finally get a strike. And it's not the fish's fault. It's not your fault. It just wasn't meant to be. But
Just, yeah.
sometimes it's really hard to pick yourself up and do it again.
Well, you know, that whole day, you had some anger. You got mad at the fish. You started begging. You were doing all kinds of, and then you started preaching. And I got something that I want to show you right here.
I wasn't supposed to show this.
And let's take a look at this.
Get up and shout now. And the Lord said, let the fish come on, the lily pads. Oh, Lord, let them get hold down on the spinnerbait. Oh, Lord, thank you. Thank you. Can I get an amen? Amen? That's what I'm talking about. And I need the dumb fish. I need them to get on the bait.
It's a man of desperation.
You see,
When all else fails, you beg and plead, then you start preaching.
I need you to stay on.
You notice I emphasize hanging on to the bait.
Hold on to the bait. That was inspirational, folks. Keep your hand on the radio while you check out the scoreboard. Terry Scroggins still in the lead. Roger BOLER in second place. We'll be back to check on our leader and wrap up the fishing right after this. Welcome back to Sit Go Bassmaster Tour and our tournament on the Big O, Lake Okeechobee. Our fishing time is almost up. There's the scoreboard. Terry Scroggins had the lead coming into today, and he is holding on with both hands. He's got up to 57 pounds now. And Terry Scroggins, you must be doing everything right today. Show us your technique.
I got a 3-inch fire claw. It's an Allen Lures bait with an 1.25 ounce penetrator weight on it. I'm not pegging my sinker. I'm leaving it just slide up and down the line. I think that's a little bit of a deal there in itself, just to let the bait be more free when you go in there. A lot of people like to peg their sinker to get it go through. I have a little bit of problem sometimes getting it to go through, but once it does go through, I think it does better underneath the mat without a peg sinker on it.
Well, all right, then here's the toughie. What does the strike feel like?
Well, most of the time, the strikes, when you do this, they just bang the mess out of it. But this week, since it's gotten cold, it's been really hard to know when you get a bite. You got to really pay attention, really concentrate, because they just come and barely do grab a hold of it. And if you pick up while they got it, they're going to let it go.
Terry Scroggins is fishing, and he will fish for a while. The other anglers, 3 in particular, BOLER, Morgenthaler, Tyler, now they have to face the consequences of their decision to run all the way down to the south end of Okeechobee. Now's the time that they have to turn around, face an 1.5-hour plus ride back to the boat dock. Scroggins is reaping the rewards of his decision. Those 3 down at the south end are having to pay the price.
Well, Terry Scroggins does have everything going his way, and Bernie seems to be going south here. Man, he has cut his finger with a pair of scissors, and
That's smarts right there, buddy.
oh man,
With the scissors.
to be in that position and you're trying to tie on baits and
It's not going to stop. I got to have something to put on it.
and handle your rod and reel. Boy, Bernie's got a mess going on right here. However, help is on the way, though.
Yeah. I need something to dry it with.
Now back to our leader, Terry Scroggins. Jerry, this guy has gotten to have it both ways today. He got to go fish conservatively, get his limit, and then go shoot for the big ones.
And he's not very far from the weigh-in spot either. Well, he does have it made. And I want to say once more that he has plopped his little jig down. Look at what he put that jig in, Tommy. He dropped it down there, jiggled it a little bit, and actually felt that fish hit the bait.
I flipped in there and seen that reed shake about 2 minutes before that fish bit. I seen a reed quiver, so I just left my bait in there. Just finally come and got it. That's the one we needed. I think about 3 more of them. Got that hook good, too.
Well, Bernie's about got his first aid taken care of here. He's back in business, and now's the time he needs to take care of business. He's not too far from the ramp, but he's got a short time to fish.
This is do or die right here, bud. I don't catch him here, I'm done. Just one day. God almighty, I just missed him.
Oh, that is bad time, and Bernie losing that fish right then.
Gosh, boy, you watch that, and you have to be aware of the fact that when you pitch that little worm underneath one of those pads and feel a little tick, that could be an 8-pound fish just as easy as it could be a 1-pound fish. Change the whole game.
Terry Scroggins also flipping somebody's pasture, it looks like, back here.
I never seen such thick stuff. I don't know if a fish can swim back in there.
Well, that ought to ice it for Terry Scroggins in this tournament. Meanwhile, back at the ramp, Kirsten Gum on something Terry Scroggins needed neither of today, luck or superstition.
We know that it takes a tremendous amount of skill to make it to this level in professional bass fishing. And we talk all the time about research and different patterns, even water levels. But there may be one little thing that we keep forgetting. The L factor.
At the Classic last year, this little kid brought me his lucky marble, and I keep that in my boat at all times, so that's my good luck charm.
Superstitions? Oh, I've got lots of them.
I have a lucky pair of underwear that I've actually almost worn totally out. I've had to replace the elastic in them twice, and they're pretty threadbare, so I only use them in desperate situations.
And a Red Bull before I blast off.
My daughters usually pick up a special rock. That's what I carry with me.
I mean, there's a whole lot of superstitions I gotta have, you know.
I have the same hunting jacket I've had for 3 years now that I wear. It's inside the boat. When it's too hot, I still put it in the boat.
When your luck's going your way, you don't want to change anything. And yeah, I've been known to put the same clothes on 2 days in a row, maybe even 3.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Yamaha, by Citgo, and by Bush.
Our Citgo Bassmaster Tour event on Lake Okeechobee. Ready for the weigh-in now, and a big crowd at Okeechobee City. First man to the stand. Had himself a great first day, but tough sledding ever since. For Mark Sabitas, he winds up in 6th place. Mark Tyler got loose out there. Caught at least one big fish today. Same thing for Roger BOLER. In fact, the Louisianan caught the big fish of the day for the 2nd day in a row and wound up in 2nd place.
It's been an awesome day, fish. Awesome week. I don't know what to say. I'm lost for words.
Rookie Chad Morgenthaler stuck to his guns but didn't get what he needed today. He winds up in 5th place. And Bernie Schultz certainly had the adrenaline going today and lots of reasons for it, but fell to 3rd despite his best effort.
I came to win, Fish. I've been close a bunch, and I just wanted to close the deal this time. It didn't work out.
Come on! So the ride-in turns out to be a victory lap for Terry Scroggins, the pro from Palatka, who made all the right decisions today and reaped the rewards, including shooting to the top of the Citgo Rookie of the Year race.
There's your champion, 12 pounds, 11 ounces. But you did it, man. You held on. Day number 4 and a huge catch. Listen to this. Scroggins, a 10-pound lead over 2nd place. Total weight, 62 pounds and 2 ounces. Give me another round of applause for this guy. Your Citgo Bassmasters Tour champion, Terry Scroggins. Look at that. Wow.
Well, there he is, your champion, Terry Scroggins. I tell you what, he may be a rookie on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour, but he is no stranger to winning. Had that big win in the Open Series last year, and he acts like a pro this time, finally opening up a 10-pound lead over his nearest competitor, Roger BOLER. You see Bernie Schultz in third place there. Right now, let's check the Bush Angler of the Year points in there. He shoots up into second place. Our winner today, Terry Scroggins, but Mr. Consistency over the first two tournaments, Jim Bitter. But look at that top 30. I mean, actually, anybody who's in that has a chance at the big prize at the end of the year, including the guy in 30th place, a guy named Swindle right here. Wouldn't you agree, Jerry?
I tell you what, we have been hammering on this poor boy for 2 or 3 weeks now, and I can't let you go without saying that underneath all that foolishness of yours, we happen to know that you're one heck of a fisherman, or you wouldn't even got in the position that you're in, and I think you're more competitive than you let on.
I really am, Jerry. And sometimes I like to cover it up with a big laugh and a smile because, you just don't want to get too caught up in it. But I do have a very serious drive to win, and I love the sport of competitive fisherman, so it's been tough.
We know you're a smart guy, too. That's why we want you to give us your prediction for Lake Seminole next time.
Let me throw 3 names up.
All
Kelly
right.
Jordan out of Texas, early springtime, great grass fisherman. I mean, can read it and can do it. Let's put Kota Kiriyama, Japanese drop shot fisherman, reeled.
Yep.
Had a great tournament there last year. He's real good at it. Let's throw in Aaron Martin, another West Coast drop shot fisherman. He's going to be tough. We're going to look at a tough tournament. The water
No spawning.
No spawning. I don't think we're going to see any of that. Water temperatures in the 40s. Water's clear, and it's going to be cold. So I give these guys top 3. I'd give them a good run for it.
All right. Thank you so much, Gerald. We'll let you get back out on the road. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you at Lake Seminole next time right here on the Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPNOutdoors.com.